you see the devastation from the weight of the abuse. Yeah, when the ones who feel superior hurt the ones who feel inferior. Oh, no more disregarding, no more disrespecting his and her humanity. We're fighting for equality.
Gender-based violence basically is any act of violence that results in physical, economic, sexual, and or emotional suffering to the victim.
And together let us fight this injustice to an end. Together we can win this battle.
And it doesn't really matter whether it's the actual act itself. It can also be a threat of such an action. And it can also happen in a private sphere, that is in a home setup, or even in a public arena, such as the school, the streets, and so on.
I'm Brother Francis Siepa Mburuma Mpondera. Those are my names. I fear to be interviewed because it reminds me of the past. It reminds me of the past, and I feel bad. Even here when I'm talking, I feel bad. I look myself to be a bad man. I'm scared. It was a bad behavior. I'm not wishing to fall. I'm scared because it was a bad behavior. It started when I got married. I just found her on a street, we met, and I proposed love to her. And she was so open to me, and I asked her to come to my house. And she came, it was around 19 hours to my house. And from there, we had a night with her. And she decided not to go back home to her parents, and she remained with me. Yeah, it was a loving relationship. It started after a month. I came late around 01. Then when I entered my house, she asked me a question, "Where are you coming from?" I told her, "You got no right to ask me a question." I gave her a slap. And she remained quiet. Yeah, it was not a good marriage because I didn't approach the parents. But after a month later, when the fight started, and the other brothers came to come and bring peace in my house. And I told them, "You got no right. This is my wife." And the brother Shumba pleaded with me. He opened the Bible, but I couldn't listen. I was hard to listen. It became worse. And that day, when the first day I slapped her, she couldn't answer back to me. And later on, after these people came, they advised me, they told me not to fight, but I couldn't listen to them. I kept on beating her bitterly. And when she got pregnant, I couldn't stop beating her. I kept on. And I was advised by a woman, said, no, it's better you reach to the parents. And I decided to go to the parents, and I paid. So I said, since I paid, then you are all of me now. I can do anything I feel like doing. When she's sick, I have to tell her, which part of your body is sick? If she has to mention the head, then I said, fine. Then the private part are not sick, so we can have sex. She would try to resist, but I said, no, I will beat you. She had no option. I should have sex. She has no reason to refuse. If she refuses, I have to beat her. Or I have to force her and find myself in. Since I knew she's all for me, she has no reason to say no, so I used to force her several times. I thought maybe it is love, so that she has to fear me as a man, as the head of the house. Three-quarters of the time I used to spend it outside. So there was no need for me to start asking, are there any meal? Have you eaten? Are the children sick? I was not caring if my children have clothes. I got no time for that. So they asked, no, we don't have relish at home. I could buy chicken for the prostitute, not for my house. I was feeling good. It came from the devil. It was hard for me to give her money. I used to tell her I work all alone all days from 7 to 16 or 17. So you want to get all my salary? No, if she asks, then she has to be beaten. Sometimes I just mock her by not giving her money, no food at home, sending her to sleep outside. So it was so bad. And when I got my salary, I used to give 25% to her hands so that she would buy all the things I need. And then the rest of the money, the 75%, it was my pocket money. And if she asked me the question about the money, she has to be geared for battle, for physical battle. Sometimes if she try to ask me, I won't answer, I won't fight, I'll leave the place for 3 days. So she used to fear to ask me a question. If she asks me a question, then I'll leave home for 3 days or more than that. It took 5 years. My change came from my firstborn, Mephibosheth. The boy was taking the message outside to the friends saying, you know, Dad loved to beat Mom. So I started feeling bad. And the people from the church keep on coming to give me the word so that I have to change. But I couldn't. When she tries to resist, I have to beat her. And I saw my boy took the message outside by telling people, Dad is a very strong man. Yesterday night, he has beaten up Mom. He was direct pointing at me. It's just the same like saying, yesterday, Dad, you beat Mom, don't you? So he was just showing me a picture that it's not good to beat your wife. And that day I started thinking about it. How am I going to stop this? But it was so hard for me to stop. I just felt badly because sometimes when this boy comes in the house, he was telling his young sister, I will beat you the way Dad beat Mom yesterday night. So I decided to start thinking about it, how to come out from this trauma. It was so hard for me to come out from it. As if he was torturing me now, saying I'm a bad man. But he was just as if he was trying to use parable by saying, telling his sister, I'll beat you the way Dad beat Mom yesterday night. So it was just like a parable, but it was direct question to me. I don't know what I can say. Maybe he was proud or he was feeling bad because he knew if beating is not good. Because when he beat the daughter, I used to beat him as well. Why do you beat your sister? It's bad. Don't you know he feels pain? And later on, people from the church, again, they came. They asked my wife to explain the way we live in my house. And my wife did not hide. She told them everything. Had no option to say no, but to agree. Said, yes, I'm doing this. They said, don't you know you're one body? How do you feel if I beat you? I said, I'll feel bad. Then they said, but why do you keep on beating your wife? I said, I don't know what comes in me for me to start beating my wife. And these people are just patient, they were just listening to me. At the end, this brother said, no, let us pray. Then they prayed. And after they left the place, something started talking to me. Brother Francis, why are you doing this to your wife? Think about if she's your wife doing this to you. Look now, the people now, they are looking at you now to be a bad man. So I decided not to leave. I was going to change so that I should leave the house. And I just found myself sleeping. And later on, I found myself in church. Then the preacher man was preaching as if he was told all the story upon that brother, what he's doing. So I decided now to fully change myself. And I went in front and I was prayed for again. And they told the brother, Jesus has changed you. And now you have to live a new life. You have to live a new life. After I've seen that what I was doing was bad. I decided, since I'm a bad man, why should I keep on being bad? My family helped me to come out from my bad behavior. For example, this boy, Mephibosheth, when this friend of mine comes with beer, I said, no, Dad, stop drinking beer. And the other girl said, no, Dad is sick, so you cannot give him beer. And there's Joshua. He's a very hard boy. He said, it's better don't come to our place, because you take Dad to go and sleep outside, and Mom, when you sleep outside, Mom cries here at home. My wife, she's told me, she said, my husband, that time when he used to torture me, I was thinking about just to kill myself, just to take poison so that I have to die, so that I leave you, so that you should continue with your life, your careless life living. Then I looked into her, I cried. Now, if you talk about the relationship with my wife, she cannot leave the place without giving me a kiss. And she's so very happy with me because I've stopped beating her. It's a lovely home now, and people, they're learning from me. The way I feel now, I will leave an example.
You may find that naturally, a male try to put themselves on upper position than females. And that thing, if it is not well controlled in a man's behavior, definitely will end up being abusive to his spouse or partner. Some people, they think they have bought that person and they can do whatever they want to do. And when they are questioned about their behavior, they always answer that they had paid for that person and they have a right to do whatever they think it's okay for them. I think the only thing we can do to change that system, that patriarchal system, is to change the mindset of people. People, regardless of their status, regardless of their gender, they should respect people's human rights. In the sense that if a man respects the human rights of the wife, that person won't go to the extent of infringing pains on that particular person.
If two married people are fighting, or maybe there's too much gender-based violence in that home, the children growing in this home will also be abusers, because they'll think that that is a kind of life and it is normal to batter a woman, and they would never, especially if they are boy children, never regard women to be an important component in their lives. So as parents out there, I would encourage you, whenever you have a difference, learn to dialogue. And this dialogue should be more mature, away from the children, unlike maybe fighting in the presence of the children. Because once that is done, then you are creating a generation of battlers, so to say, in future.
Gender-based violence, for it to be prevented or for it to be to mitigate against it, I think requires a continuous sensitization. Because when we talk about gender-based violence, we talk about deep-rooted practices and beliefs that have been passed on over the ages. Don't tell when you are beaten in a home setup. We can sit and discuss when an issue of gender-based violence occurs. So changing these negative perceptions, negative practices and behaviors takes time. So one-off awareness raising doesn't work. So what we require is sustained awareness raising so that it transforms into behavioral and attitudinal changes. In addition, I think we also need to also increase awareness on the rights that people have, that the same rights that men have are the same rights that women have, are the same rights that children have. So once people are aware of their rights, and when gender-based violence is committed against them, they will be able to recognize that one of their rights has been infringed upon, and then they will be able to report such cases. We also need enforcement of the current existing laws so that those who commit gender-based violence are also brought to book, because in certain instances, strong laws and also their effective implementation also act as a deterrent to other would-be perpetrators.
Can you see the devastation from the weight of the abuse? Yeah, when the ones who feel superior hurt the ones who feel inferior. Oh, no more disregarding, no more disrespecting his and her humanity. We're fighting for equality. It's gotta stop now. It's gotta end now. We're taking our stand today, 'cause things have gotta change.
And my advice to those girls who may find themselves in the situation where I found myself is that they should not give in. They should try for the better future. Don't just say because they're my relatives, she's my mother, my father. No, just stand for your future and say no to violence. These are my encouragements.
Who can change it beyond?
My advice to those that are in the similar situation that I had been is to go to YWCA for counseling. There are good counselors there. You can find help. Don't stay home. If anything like that is happening to you, it's better you come out and open up.
My advice to the victims of gender-based violence is that they should not hesitate to report all incidences of gender-based violence to the police. We are there to ensure that their reports are well handled and investigated so that perpetrators are brought to book.
Those who are in the same situation, the best way, they should try to talk to the partner. And if that partner can't listen, the best way they should take that matter to the victim support so that they can be cancelled.
It's gotta go away, never to be the same. It's gonna be this way. We're taking a stand today. It's gonna go away, never to be the same. It's gonna be this way. Let's stand together, let us fight this injustice to an end. Together we can win. Let's stand together, let us fight this injustice to an end. Together we can win this battle. This is a call to every man and woman in this world, to every boy and girl. Let's stand together, let us fight this injustice to an end. Together we can win this battle. This is a call to every man and woman in this world, to every boy and girl.